Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When we were trying to get this podcast off the ground, we had so many questions. How do we record an episode? Where do we find background music? How do we get our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places that people like to listen? And where do we find advertisers? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and 100% ridiculously easy to use. Anchor makes it simple to get up and running. You can upload and schedule your podcasts ahead of time. It publishes to all the major podcast platforms. You can easily check your stats. I could go on, but instead, why don't you go and get started? Go to anchor.fm/start to join the e-commerce minute and a diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
It's the E-commerce Minute, your daily dose of e-commerce, tech, and retail news with your hosts, Bart Mraz and John Suter. The E-commerce Minute is a production of Sumo Heavy, a digital commerce consulting firm in Brooklyn, New York, and Philadelphia. Find us on the web at sumoheavy.com. It's E-commerce Minute, episode 347.
In today's episode, Walmart's weird robot bee patent.
In today's episode of Weird Walmart Patents, we have a recent filing for a robot bee. More specifically, the patent is for autonomous robotic bees, technically called pollination drones, that could potentially pollinate crops, just like real bees. The drones would carry pollen from one plant to another using sensors and cameras to detect the location of the crops. The robot bee patent was among a handful of patent filings for other types of farming drones filed by the retailer. The other patents include one that would identify pests and another one that would monitor crop health. The filing suggests that Walmart is getting serious about taking charge of its food supply chain. Walmart would not be the first organization to create a robot bee. Scientists have been searching for solutions to the decline of honeybees, which pollinate nearly one-third of the food we eat and are dying at an unprecedented rate due to a phenomenon called colony collapse disorder. Walmart has made significant advances in the grocery side of the business as it goes head-to-head with Amazon for their share of grocery dominance. Last week, the retailer announced the expansion of its grocery delivery this year to over 800 stores that reach 40% of U.S. households. Some locations will offer same-day delivery in as little as 3 hours. And as we reported in January, Walmart also filed a patent for an online grocery shopping service that would allow shoppers to accept or reject produce picked by Walmart employees. So this is another weird Walmart patent. Will it ever come to fruition? Who knows?
Who knows? And weird. I mean, imagine they put all these patents in use in one store. That's really weird. I don't understand. I just sometimes you go, "What are you talking about?"
I've heard of these pollination drones before. It's interesting because the bee thing is actually pretty serious. Because if there's no bees, then we have no food, and I can't make it any plainer than that. And there's a lot of reasons for that. It's pollution, it's pesticides, it's everything that goes on in the environment. But having a robotic, a little drone replace a bee is really not something out of science fiction. It's actually something that has been considered for a number of years. Whether it's viable or not, I've read different stories where it's, that's just a bunch of hooey, and others where it's like, well, it works somewhat, but not really. Given that drone technology has advanced and robotics has advanced, it's not out of the realm to consider that you could deploy something like this. Now, you think of, it's a form factor and it looks just like a bee, but it's a robot. It might not even look like a bee. It could just be this circular drone that comes and just does its thing to each of the plants. You have to kind of get that form factor out of your head and just think of what it's trying to accomplish. What they're trying to do is look towards the future. And I think that's why we get all these weird, we laugh at these weird patents, but there's some forward thinking there. And it's not all science fiction. It's people who are trying to say, what could happen and how could we solve this problem? And how could we make a lot of money off of it?
Well, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is just saving, in reality, saving food, right? Because we either have to make, proper food and there's more bees, or we make fake food.
Yeah, or you make fake food, and I don't want fake food, so
I don't want to live on an MRE either.
No, I don't either. So pollination drones could help offset the loss of bee populations, and again, they would just go and pollinate the other plants, and kumbaya, we have more food. So the other patents they had were pest tracking patents, ones that would shoo off birds, anything to kind of automate it. As you said, save some money, but as long as we can still get our food out of the ground, that's what we need.
That's the big hope, right?
Plain and simple. All right, this is a weird one. We don't have any real pictures of the robot bees. Sorry, there was none available. Just some boring schematics, so we don't have anything to show you on that. But if you'd like to look up on our show notes, they're at ecommerceminute.co. You can look at past episodes with lots of interesting stuff on there. Sign up for our newsletter. And if you really like the podcast, go to iTunes, give us a good review. It'll help other people find the show. Bart, do you have anything else to add?
Be fantastic.
Just be yourself. Oh, man, it's a long day. All right, that's your e-commerce minute for today. We'll see you on the internet tomorrow. That's it for today's show. If you like the show, do us a favor and subscribe, or leave us a review on iTunes. And don't forget, you can now listen to the e-commerce minute on your Amazon device. Just add e-commerce minute to your flash briefing. And finally, if you have a comment or suggestion, or just want to say hi, find us on social media at Sumo Heavy.